Well, I got the charging system working on the Ford 5000, and I got the new tachometer in there, so now I know at least how fast the engine's spinning. Should be able to set the PTO RPM fairly accurately by that. So I decided it's time to try out this junky brush hog that I picked up. I wanted a 6-footer because my 5-footer, even though it was really durable, was going to be a little lost behind the large wide rear end of this 5000. For those of you who didn't watch my last video when I first got this thing and took a look at it, it's a Hawkline, which unfortunately is not as good as a bush hog from what I read online. Probably better than a land pride, but maybe not by much. So, anywho, we're about to put it under. I know that it's got a seal leak because I saw evidence of that when I lifted it up. But there is oil in the gearbox now, so should be safe to run it provided there's nothing catastrophic wrong in there. But I think as soon as we start spinning it for the first time, if there's a horrible noise, we'll know that the gearbox is shot. Never even engaged the PTO on the 5000. I don't even know if it works, but I have no reason to believe it wouldn't. The 3-point lift seems to be working pretty darn good. Well, okay, it's getting late yesterday, so I decided to take the night off and work on this today. So I ended up taking the short top link off of my Ford 1920 tractor and putting it on here to rectify the problem of it not lifting the rear wheel off the ground. And it seems to be working okay. That top link, the holes on it, and the pins used to hold it onto the other tractor are smaller. So this is a category, I think the higher the number, the bigger the hitch, right? So this is probably like a Cat 3-point hitch system, and I think that's probably a Cat 2 over there or something. I don't know. All I know is that this is the top link that came on the tractor when I got it, and this pin is too large to fit through the hole on the top link for the top link I've got on there. The head on this top link is just, this pin is just large enough so it doesn't go through this clevis. So I'm using this pin on this side. This is the pin that was on the Ford 1920 tractor end. Not that it matters. And then I use the bolt that was up here, down here. I fully expect that to loosen up, so I might have to put a jam nut on there to try and keep it locked in. It's been a long time since I adjusted this, so this is not in the mood to be adjusted, but I think it's going to be good enough for me to just do some test runs with the brush hog and see how it acts. I figure while I got it over here at the house, I'm going to check the level on that oil and top it off, and then after I run it for a while, I'll check the level again, and that will help me gauge just how bad the seals are. I mean, if it's really bad, then I'm going to be looking at having to tear this one apart and doing a seal replacement like I did on my bush hog. This gearbox has a combination fill plug and breather right here. So I can stick my finger all the way in there.
That's what she said.
And not touch any oil. So the oil level is down. But I remember I checked this before I bought it just to make sure it wasn't completely empty. And there was oil in there. Let me find something to use as a dipstick. It's just some plastic sheathing off some Romix I pulled out of the trash. And you can see there is oil in there. It's just quite a bit down. So, let me get a funnel. And I'm going to put this this ancient, I think the bottle's just a lot dirtier than it, 65W140. Not quite gear oil. It's gear lubricant multi-purpose, or all-purpose, by Drydene. But it's got a plastic quart container with a plastic bottle, so it can't be that old. Hey, it's just going to leak out anyways. A little less than half a quart in here, so it'll probably take all of it. Oh, that oil was messy. Glad I used it all. Get rid of it. Now I can switch to the full synthetic. It's full synthetic, but it's the Supertech cheaper brand of full synthetic from Tractor Supply, I think. A lot easier to use this bottle though.
Pardon me.
It's been so dry this summer. We have drought conditions here in New England, so you know the field didn't really grow that much. I got a couple of patches here that I didn't cut last time I was cutting, so we'll go across the street where I haven't cut this recently and see some heavier stuff over there. But right now, let's try this out. Okay, I think I'm going to call that a successful test. I would say that the Ford 5000 is ready to do some work. Seemed to do that with no issues at all. A little bit of brush hogging. The temperature gauge did start to register, but the temperature never got much higher than halfway, not even halfway, and like a third of the way, if that, into the normal operating range. So it's kind of cool. So I could see how, obviously working harder in August. It'll go up higher, but I don't think there's a problem with the cooling system. It seems to have plenty of power. My new beat up cheap brush hog, newly acquired to me, the Hawkline cream puff. For as beat as it looks, it's actually performing pretty nicely. It's got less vibration. Now I know that a big part of the vibration on my old bush hog most likely is due to some misalignment in that slip clutch assembly, which does not exist on the Hawkline. By design, the Hawkline relies on a bolt, which is supposed to shear in the event that you hit a bad obstruction. And judging from the remnants of several bolts laying on top of the deck here, I would say that the guy who was doing this, he actually was hiring his tractor and brush hog out. He would go and clear people's property, so he probably put a whole lot of hours on this thing. Like I said, there were 2 of them on this property when I went there, when the person initially advertised it. But when I got there, she said that somebody came down and bought the other one, so I imagine the other one was the better of the 2. Oh well. You know, my neighbor was telling me, he says, geez, he said, you should have bought my John Deere. He had a 6-foot John Deere. He says it was in great shape. I said, yeah, what'd you get for that? He said like $2,800. I remember it was over $2,000 though. I was like, oh, well, all right, well, you know, this cream puff was $400. So I do have a couple things left I'd like to do on this thing for operational purposes. This lever here to raise and lower the hitch is still very stiff. It's very hard to move. There is what appears to be a self-locking nut on the end of the shaft that pivots on that sticks out by design. So I imagine that they put that out there so you could put a wrench on it and loosen it. But when I try and turn that, the whole shaft turns. So my theory is that you need to actually get on a wrench on the other side to hold that and then loosen that nut a little bit, and that will make this easier to move. Because I tried spraying penetrant down in there thinking that it was just rusted, and that actually didn't seem to make much of a difference at all. The one thing I did find seized up that I was able to unlock with penetrant was this right here. So oddly enough, there's a lever similar to this on my Ford 1920, but it comes out this way, and it's for locking the differential. Ironically, on this tractor, this is the parking brake. So if we push down on the right brake pedal, only the right brake pedal locks, so you have to flip this lever over and lock the 2 brakes together if you want to set both brakes. But if you push down this pedal and I pull this up, it actually holds. And then if it's locked, if you push down a little further, it'll unlock. And you can hear it's a ratcheting mechanism in there. If I was up on the tractor, I could really click it down, lock it really well. So my parking brake works, my brakes work well, steering seems to be working, no sign of any more leaks out of the steering valve. So that's all looking good. PTO seems to be running okay. Oh, for those of you who are wondering, I ended up settling on around 1800 RPM because I saw, I think, between 17 and 1900 for answers online to get the 540 PTO spinning. And it looks like that's like 33%, somebody said, which is interesting. So that's like 1/3 of engine RPM. Makes about sense, right? Or a little more. Anywho. No more leaks around the injector pump or the new fuel pump. Oh yeah, so I do have this little problem, which is this whole deck, you see how it's tilted? So I need this side to go down more. And this is kind of a different setup than what I have over on my other, on the Ford 1920. This has got these massive arms, powerful arms right here that have no give to them at all. So it's a direct connection between the 3-point arm and the lift arm up top that the hydraulic cylinder is attached to. So it looks like if I want to drop this side down, what I need to do is unbolt this and rotate this and turn it on here to lengthen this arm. There's a grease fitting here. I got a sneaking suspicion it has not seen grease in a long time, so I don't know how successful that's going to be. So I either want to lengthen this one or shorten that one. So I'll be going to the tractor show in a couple of weeks, and I'll ask somebody down there, see what they say, because this seems like the kind of setup I would expect would be better. What we've got is between the arms and the lift arms, we've got this chain setup, which looks like it's kind of cobbled together now that I think of it. Now that I think about it, it kind of looks kind of hacky. It looks kind of Mickey Mouse, right? You know, but what that does is if the front of the mower hits something and needs to lift up, it can do that. And yet I can still lift the mower. These arms here seem like they're more made for maybe if there's like a plow, you know, a gang plow or something that you want maybe the draft control to work on. Which that's the other thing too. We've got those controls up there. I could set those to different positions. Right now I have it set in position, which allows me to raise and lower this, but then I can put it in draft, you know, and then I think the way that works is when it, like if I was plowing and it hits a rock, it will sense the obstruction and automatically lift the implement up to go over it. Yeah, so honestly guys, this might be the last Ford 5000 video for a while, just because I'm kind of at a point now where I want to turn my attention to some other projects, and there isn't a lot left to do on this thing, honestly. You know, maybe I'll take that dashboard, that instrument cluster apart and try and get that condensation out of there and see if I could seal that unit, but I kind of doubt I'm going to have any success with that. I would like to paint this. That would be nice. It's got one headlight out. I'm not really going to worry about that. I mean, right now I'm pretty satisfied. Oh, I did have a lever over here. I know I'm going to look in the owner's manual and find out what it is, but I got a lever over here that does something. I'm betting this is the differential lock. It's right here on the passenger side. Right here on the right side, there is this thing here. Doesn't seem to do anything, but that's because by design, that's in the stowed position for this lever when it's not being used. It's kind of almost flush. And what you do is you pick it up and you turn it, and that engages it, so now it will do something if I step on it. So if I was up on the tractor and I step on this, it will move a linkage down there. So that's why I think this is I think that's a differential lock. That being said, I don't know what this lever is. I don't even know what way this lever is supposed to turn. It's really kind of funky, so I have to look in the owner's manual for that one. So probably the next tractor video you guys are going to see is going to be me working on the Ford 1920. Now that I'm satisfied that I can use this machine for my brush hogging, I really don't need the 1920 any longer. But of course, no sooner do I decide that I'm going to be selling that tractor and the 3-point lift on that tractor stops working. So join me next time for another adventure. Thanks for watching. Take care.